Hallelujah. Hello, everybody. Well, it's about time I give you my testimony. I really don't know how long I'm going to be alive, at least in this dimension. I know I'm going to heaven. Um, I guess all my problems, my past, God has taken me out of many things. I I even used to mess around with this guy who had breasts, uh, named Elizabeth. I met him in a mental ward. I was in Lincoln Hospital and Psychiatric Ward. Had a psychiatric ward there. This is 149th Street in the Bronx. I think it was it was in between 3rd Avenue and Grand Concourse. And they had me there because I was high on acid. And I took that LSD, which was probably one of my favorite drugs to take, LSD. And I had gotten caught for trying to sell LSD, and that was a felony drug conviction. It was possible to give me 7 to 15 years on that one. It was a Class C felony. And who was the district attorney back then? You get it. It was Rudy Giuliani. And the funny thing is that in 1983, I had that's when my father came from Puerto Rico. He came here to visit me, not to visit me. He came here. He came to the Bronx to get me out of that out of that place and take me to Puerto Rico. Um, I guess in '78, it was incredible. I had even cut this guy in the neck with a bottle. I owed him some money, and he came to get that money, and I cut his neck with a broken bottle, and I had gone to the movies. I had gone to a kung fu movie, and it was I had drunk like uh 40 ounce or whatever of Coke 45 malt liquor. It was a beer, so I was drunk. I was high. I always used to drink a lot. I used to drink, you know, I used to drink a 40, smoke some pot, smoke some marijuana, smoke some herb, whatever they're calling it now, the chronic or whatever, the chronic. I don't know. I had a chronic addiction. That's for sure. That's for sure. Today is Monday. Actually, today I get to go to the pain doctor. They give me some more of these pills like oxycodone, hydrocodone, all this stuff. I'm gonna go see him, and he's a pain doctor, so I'll be going over there, and I'm gonna be wearing my brace, my back brace. I'm supposed to wear that back brace for 12 weeks. And at the end of 12 weeks, if my back isn't better, they're gonna take like x-rays. And if my back doesn't heal itself, they say that they want to operate. Um, I have a compression fracture of the T9 and T10. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know what that was. And the physical therapist, he touched me in my back. It's towards like the middle, and he says that that's where it is. So I know it's like in the middle of my back, and it goes down. The pain goes down. Uh, it goes down my back, and now I have numbness. My feet are numb, both of them. Before it was just the left one because I had a stroke in June of 22. So June of 2022, I had a double stroke, and it took my left leg, it took my arm, it took my left side. That's why I say that I tell everybody that I'm the triple cripple because I got pain in my left arm, my left leg, and my left nipple. Okay, that's about as much as it. That's about as much rhyming as I do. What can I say? I've had a terrible, terrible life. I'm doing drugs and doing things to people. Um, I don't know. I don't know how many have jumped off the roofs or whatever. I don't know how many people have died of the LSD that I gave them. I once took so much LSD that, and this was when I was living in Flushing, Queens, and I was living on the sixth floor. Sixth floor, Flushing, Queens. Actually, from the roof, I could look right into Old Shea Stadium, which was just one stop away on the train. This number 7 train in Flushing. From my roof, I could look I could look right into Shea Stadium, and actually, from my roof, I remember one time. I think the Pope came. The Pope, I think, came into Shea Stadium, and they actually sent the helicopter. I was on the roof. I was on the roof, getting high like I always did, and I saw this helicopter come by, and it came and it just stayed there. And I guess they maybe they thought I was a sharpshooter or something. I was a sniper. That's what they probably thought because I mean I don't know when was it that must have been. I was in Flushing, Queens. I want to say I know by 78 I was there. I had gotten out of the Navy in 75. I was kicked out of the Navy. Um, I was I was terrible. What do you want? What do you want? I was always getting high, and then I found a connection for LSD, and I used to take so much LSD that all I needed to do was I would take the train, right, the number 7 train, and it would go from Flushing, Queens, all the way to 42nd Street. I used to put my head against the train, and the vibration of the train would would against my head. I would actually I would actually be high by the time I got to 42nd Street. It would be like a flashback. I used to use LSD so much that I used to get a flashback just by putting my head on the back of the train, the vibration. By the time I got over there to 42nd Street, I was I was flying. I was literally flying with the LSD. And by 78, I was I was willing to kill that guy. And his name his name was Eddie. His name was Eddie. And then I took a job when I came from. Well, I went to Puerto Rico, and I came back and I started working. I came back to New York, and I started working as a messenger for this one company, and they used to, one of their clients was American Express. So they had a building. I want to say it was like, what is it, Fourth Avenue, I think it was, or something like that. Lafayette, something like that. It was around. Now that I think about it, I don't know exactly what it was, man. It was like it was like in Soho. They used to have like they used to have like an American Express office there, and then I used to go there. I used to pick up things there, and then I used to take it to the World Trade Center all the way up like to 105, 106, whatever, all the way to the top. That's where I went. It was such a beautiful view from there. It was incredible, the view going all the way up to the top of American Express. And I remember that when I got out there, they used to have like steps going up to even a higher floor. I don't know if it was 105 or 106, whatever. It depended on I don't know exactly how many. I know I looked outside and I kept on looking. I said, "Man, what a tremendous view." And then one of the secretaries came, and then she kind of like disturbed me, and she said something about that. You know, yeah, this is what needs to be taken back to I don't know where. But anyway, in one of those times, they I went to that American Express place, and I was in the elevator going up, and who gets into the elevator? Yep, Eddie gets in there, and there was some woman in there too, and he was taller than me. He was taller than me, and I know he always used to hang out with it. He always used to have one of those 007 blades. Remember that 007 blade? Yeah, he used to have that. It was really long. It was it wasn't even street legal, man. It was out there. My father used to carry one of those. That was a pretty big blade. And then after that they made it illegal because it was way over 4 inches, as I remember it. I don't know. I think it was maybe 5 inches or something like that. But it was enough to reach your heart, that's for sure. But Eddie always used to have it. As a matter of fact, when I cut his throat, he put his hand on his throat, and then I saw him take out the blade, and he opened it up, and I went running. I went running for my life out of that park. I had I had some boots. I used to wear some boots, and the boots slipped when I cut Eddie. Uh, so I really couldn't get that deep into his throat. If not, I would have killed him. But and not only that, but I think if I remember, I got him on the left side. I think I don't think the left side is the side that has the. I didn't know too much about anatomy back then, so I don't know if the left side is the one that has the main artery, right? But I mean, he took out his knife, and I went running, man. I I, I guess I must have ran faster than Usain Bolt running from Maple Park in Queens, which is Maple Avenue and Casino Boulevard. I ran from there all the way to Sanford Avenue and College Point. So that was one block. You get to Main Street, another block, and then 3 blocks. So I went to 3 blocks to 132-40 Sanford Avenue. That's where I used to live, 132-40. And and I ran over there, and I ran inside and I knocked on my cousin's door. I was scared, man. I said, this guy's gonna kill me, man. And I felt a whole mess of people. I didn't even look back, but I know there was a lot of people there who was running, you know. and I went to my cousin's house, and then we called the police because there was a lot of people out there, man. So I called the police, and the police took me in, and they gave me 6 months for that. 6 months in the weekends. Think of that, 6 months of weekends, and I almost killed that guy. I guess he was scared to to press, charges and stuff. I remember seeing him when I got. I remember seeing him when they passed sentence on me, and since I was working, they gave me 6 months of weekends, and then it was crazy. I used to go to this Nazarene church in Flushing, Queens. It was a little bit of a walk from Maple Park. For that time, I used to live on Bound Avenue. Bound Avenue, and what was the other avenue? It was Bound. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look up Google Earth or something like that. It was on Bound, maybe 2 blocks, 2 or 3 blocks away from Maple Park, up on that area. And I used to hang out with this guy named David Cheatham. I think I think he moved out to Jamaica. We both used to sell drugs, and I used to hang out with him. As a matter of fact, me and him, the day that I cut Eddie, we went to the movies. We saw some kung fu movies. We I had a Colt 45. He used to like to drink old English. He used to like to drink old English malt liquor. I didn't like it too much, but he loved it. But I used to like Colt 45. I used to love that. I used to love that beer. Colt 45 malt liquor. So I got drunk. I got high with him. Then we took the train back to Flushing. And I remember I had a broken, one of those little metal bottles. I had a broken one in my hand, and I was sharpening it in the I was sharpening it on the bench. You know, I kept on sharpening. It was perfect. It was the way it was shaped. It was perfect. To just take it and slice somebody with it. And he looked at it and he said, "What is that?" That's just in case Eddie comes to collect his money. And I told him, "That's right. That's exactly what it's for." And and then Eddie came. He came asking me for the money, and I owed him $50. I owed him 50. He had given me $50 for a mixer, and the mixer was broken. I had a mixer, but the thing was that my cousin had lent my mixer to somebody else, and they broke it. They busted it up. And I and I didn't know that, so I sold it to Eddie, and it was broken. It was broken. So what could I say? It was messed up. And I got into the elevator with him. Well, I got into the elevator, and then he came in speaking with a woman, and he was taller than me. And I looked at his neck, and his neck was all scarred up. It was like a terrible looking scar, that was on his neck. And I thought to myself, if this guy turns around, I'm gonna have to start fighting him right there. And I had just accepted Jesus in my life. I had just accepted Jesus in my life. This was 1978. Yeah. I had just accepted Jesus in my life, and uh, and this guy was in there and I know he always had that 007 blade on him. And I started praying, I said, Jesus, I said, oh, I can't believe this guy is in here in this elevator with me, and he's being distracted by this woman. He was trying to rap to her, and and like I said, he was even taller than me. It was really weird, and he just went in. He started talking to her. I saw that giant scar on his neck. And he kept on talking to her all the way to the floor that he had to go to. He got out, and I breathed a sigh of relief. I was like, I said, thank God, man. I said, thank you, Jesus, that at least he was distracted because he could have killed me in that elevator. By by 19, well, I went from there. I went to Teen Challenge. Teen Challenge. I went from November of '79. It was it was when Reagan was getting elected. I remember Jimmy Carter was the president. He was very weak, and Reagan was the one who was running for president, and he won. So that was November of '79, all the way up to January of of '81. All that time uh, I was in I was in Teen Challenge over in well, first they sent me to Bridgeport, Connecticut. I spent like 4 months there at a place called Helping Hands Center, and then from there I went to God's Mountain in Riversburg, Pennsylvania, near Reading, Pennsylvania, and they have a working farm there, a mess of cows and stuff like that. He's a city boy over there in a cow farm. They had a working farm where they used to sell milk, and they had a whole mess of cows. I don't know how many cows they had back then, but I did go down there to visit. I did go down there to see the cows and stuff like that. And they had a lot of fun with a city boy like me. I didn't know anything about cows or anything like that, but I went down there, and they used to have me in building maintenance. So if I ever get if I ever get sick, like they always have all these commercials that they say, "Did you work in the building trades? Did you get cancer? Well, we have the law office of whatever, Rabinowitz, and Rabinowitz, and here at Rabinowitz and Rabinowitz and Rabinowitz, we represent people who were in the building trades. Were you in the Navy? Were you in the building trades? Well, did you get cancer? Did you get any of these cancers? We can get money for you." And, those are those commercials. And yeah, I was in the building trades. So I know what asbestos is. Asbestos was used a lot because it was insulation. It was asbestos is also like fire retardant. So it was perfect, as long as you don't mess with it. The thing is that when you're messing with it, that's what it is. When you start touching it or playing around with it, then the dust would get into your lungs, and that's it. Then it would develop into cancer. I do believe, but anyway, I got out of Teen Challenge in '81, and I was doing real good. I was I was on probation because when I pled guilty uh, to the to the charge of selling drugs, I was facing 7 to 15 years, Class C felony. My father was a numbers runner. He was connected. He knew a lot of people, and they sent a judge, a former judge. They sent the former judge to represent me, and that former judge got me uh, 4 years and 10 months probation and 2 months in jail. And it was, instead of 2 months, I think they gave me like 1 month or something like that. They gave me a couple of weeks, and they got me out. They got me out. They got me into Teen Challenge. There was a pastor, Robert Terramina. He changed his name to to Thorn, I think it was. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with in that Nazarene church. I don't know, but he changed his name to Robert Thorn. I later found out that he changed his name. I called up like the main Nazarene headquarters in New York. They used to have a theater called the Lambs Theater. I think it was in Times Square. I don't know if they have that there anymore. But he had changed his name. But God used him to get me into Teen Challenge. I remember he went to court with me, and I had an ex judge as a lawyer. My lawyer was called judge by the judge who was there. Honorable Ralph Sherman was my judge, and they gave me 4 years and 10 months probation and 2 months in jail. So they got me out of jail. I was I went to Teen Challenge. I got out in no January of 1982. 1982. And then after 1982, I started working of all places. I worked at WedTech. At WedTech, um, they got into some kind of a problem with there was a RICO charge, I think, or something like that. Uh, I think it was a congressman or somebody had gotten like a payoff from the people at WedTech because they had like a giant government contract there. So I guess they gave money to some congressman, and me and the congressman we did 6 months of weekends. I used to go over there with him, and the weekends was crazy. Weekends I used to work during the weekend, and on the weekend I had to go to Rikers Island, and it was weird, man. It was like getting arrested every weekend. I used to go to Rikers Island. They would check us out. Some of them would check us all out. They would do the whole search. Not a body cavity search, but yeah, they would take off all your clothes, make you squat and cough and all that stuff. And some of them they wouldn't do that. They would just let us go through, and that was it. Some of them, yeah, they would search us. I remember one time I had some pot on me. I didn't even know it was there, man. I was right at, right at when you get off of the bus, right? They have a bus that goes to Rikers Island. That's the only way you can get in. You gotta take the bus, and that goes over the bridge. Only people who can go over that bridge are people with badges, or you on the bus. You're on the bus. You're gonna do weekends, or you're gonna visit somebody. Or you're gonna go through. You're gonna get on that bus. So that bus and the guards were the only ones on that on that on that uh, on that bridge. That bridge. Yeah. So I get on. So I got on the bus. I think I even asked somebody for a ride, and they told me, they said, "Oh, if you got your badge, yeah, because I guess you had to have your badge to go over there." And I didn't even know it. But my cousin used to work there. My cousin became a captain in the corrections department. His name was Bobby Vasquez. He got to be a captain. I don't know. I don't know how much money he used to make. He used to make real good money. He even bought a he even bought a place out in Staten Island, and he was one of my favorite cousins. Uh, I well, I'm talking way too much, but anyway, yeah, God took me out of drugs. God took me out of. I was, like I said, I was seeing this guy who called himself Elizabeth. He was in the Lincoln Psychiatric and Mental Ward. Lincoln Psychiatric, Lincoln Hospital and Mental Ward was the name of the place. That was the hospital that was on 49th Street. And he had breasts just like a woman. And I guess he told me that he used to have sex with one of the people uh, who used to work the night shift. So he just went into my room, and my room was like right next to where the office was. And one time I didn't want to take my medication. I didn't, I didn't want to take my Thorazine. They used to give me Thorazine. And then they used to give me like 100 milligrams of Thorazine, and it was messing around with my body, man. It was a very powerful muscle relaxer, and I didn't want to take my medicine. So what did they do? They sent like five cops in there. They sent like five big cops in there, and, and I thought I was pretty good with my hands. I used to fight a lot. I used to fight like crazy because I mean, you had when you're selling drugs, you got people who wanna rip you off. You got cops. You got just crazy people who wanna just rob you. So you had to be able to throw down. You had to be able to you had to be able to fight. So this is my green band that I got because I went to the stress center, and I had put in some I had put some comedy in to see if I can win uh, a seat to go to the arts festival. Have the veterans have a art festival, and every year they have a presentation. This year was in the Stress Center over here. It's very beautiful. That place is fantastic. They have food for us. They had water. They had soda. They had ham, homemade cookies, homemade chocolate chip cookies. I'm a diabetic, but I ate two of them. uh, but God has been good to me. God took me out of drugs. God took me out of out of out of all that. I was seeing Elizabeth, and this was in 1983. I was in the mental ward, high on LSD. I once looked out. I was on the sixth floor. I don't think I finished that. I was on the sixth floor of Flushing, Queens, in 132-40 Sanford Avenue. I think now it's like a condo or whatever. Condo or I don't know, co-op. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, that's where I used to live on the sixth floor. And I used to live on the sixth floor, and out my window, high on LSD, I could see the street right there, right outside my window. That's why people used to jump off of window, used to jump off sixth floor or whatever, because the street was right outside my window, right outside. So I'm looking and I see a street right there, right in front of me, right in the window. And then I look over at a building that was a little bit like a block away, and the building was going like this. It was like it was like I don't know. It was like weird, man. It was like a palm tree in the wind. It was just waving like that. And I said, "Oh man, this is why so many people jump off of buildings when they take LSD." You know, and that's what I said to myself. And I stood up and I said, "Oh man, I'm just gonna stay seated down here." And then finally I came down, and when I went outside, I don't know what happened, but I started walking like in the middle of the street, right on the yellow line, because uh, I didn't want anybody to rob me. So I used to walk on the middle of the street. Almost got hit by a car. I remember, I remember a car almost hit me, but it didn't get to hit me. I was too fast for the car. That was crazy, man. Absolutely nuts. So they took me to the psychiatric hospital, and there I had a relationship there with Elizabeth. It was a trans woman, had breasts like a woman, but I know that there was a reason why Elizabeth was there in that psychiatric hospital. My father came from Puerto Rico, and he took me over there with him to Puerto Rico, in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. And I started going to this Pentecostal church, and I went to that Pentecostal church for like 4 years, and it was incredible. You know, 4 years. It was great being over there. And then I came back to New York because there was not really too much. Where I was there in Puerto Rico from '83 to '87, and that little Pentecostal church was incredible. God used that place, and that's the same church that Luisito Santiago, the singer, he used to go to that church. His father used to go to that church. His mother used to go to that church, and he used to go there. But he used to sing like, but he was like timid, And then I guess when he got older, he started singing with power, and now he's very well known. If you Google him, you see he got a whole mess of records and stuff. And I heard that he got into a car accident, and he had a scar on his face or something, or his neck, something like that. But I used to love the way his father used to sing. Every time I was to lead the church service, I would ask his father to sing a special, and his father was very, very nice, very good voice, and most of the time he would sing, and he was also a good mechanic too. I used to buy cars from him, and he would keep it going. I had this a Datsun B210. It was a '72 Datsun B210. My my brother Joey used to call it the Transformer because at that time they used to have the cartoons of the Transformer, and those cars used to turn into things. The car used to turn into a robot. So Joey, my brother, and uh, Joey Alfaro They used to call it the Transformer. But a lot of women used to get in that car though. They didn't care about how terrible that car was. That car was really, really bad, man. That was like terrible car. It was my first car. What do you expect? What did you expect from your first car? What was your first car? Huh? Put that one in the comments. Uh, so that's it. You know, God took me over there, and I mean, I've been walking with Jesus ever since. I've had a lot of ups and downs. I mean, right now, what do I have? I have a back condition. I have fractured fractured T9 and T10. I wear a back brace. If that back brace doesn't help, I'll be getting an operation in my back. I have uh, I have eye problems because I have macular degeneration and a cataract. And when I look at like pure white, like let's say this piece of paper here, right? This is a label for this pillow, this pink pillow here. As I look at it, I see like yellow streaks in there, and I know it's supposed to be all white because most of these labels are all white. But I see yellow streaks there, and I don't see any. I don't see the other spots. But also, I felt I had a fall. I had a fall. I was I was released from Brandon Hospital. Um, I was released, and like 4 or 5 hours later, I was right back in. Right back in. I had a fall. I was trying to I was trying to put the battery cable to the battery of my car, and I slipped backwards. I guess they had like some wet leaves there, so and maybe some twigs and stuff, and they didn't put it in bags. They just keep on blowing it. You know, they never do the complete job. You know, so I slipped on the I slipped on those leaves. They get really wet and slippery. So I went backwards, and I hit my back again, and then I hit my head against the pavement. And now um, I get dizzy every day. I don't know if it's the gabapentin that I'm taking. So I'm gonna stop the gabapentin because that messes with your balance. When I used to take gabapentin for my I used to take gabapentin because I had shingles. This was way before the pandemic and stuff. I used to. I was living alone in Gibsonton. I had my mobile home there in Gibsonton, and I used to take like 2,400 milligrams of gabapentin, which is the most you could take. It's the most you could take, and it was so bad that I used to have to hold on to the walls just to go to the bathroom. The bathroom was right next to my room, but I had to do that, and and I also used to get vertigo, but I learned how to when the fireman picked me up when the fire because I couldn't get up. I was like that lady. I fall in and I can't get up. So I was just like that lady. I'm falling and I can't get up. So the how do you say it? I called 911 and they said, "What's your emergency?" I said, "Look, I've fallen." And I touched my head and I said, "I'm bleeding out of the back of my head. I'm bleeding, and I know I hit my head very hard on the pavement, and I have I'm feeling really bad. I'm bleeding out the top out of the back of my head. So, and I told them where I was at, and I was telling them, I said I'm in the parking lot. I'm right next to a white Cadillac. I had a I have a white Cadillac there, and I said I have a 2010 white Cadillac, and I'm right next to it, and I was able to see the fire truck coming to me because I kind of like just turned my head and I could see them coming, and then they picked me up. When they picked me up, I got nauseous. I, I started getting vertigo, and I was feeling real bad. You know, obviously that the hit in my head was a lot more than, and even now I get like I've had like 3 or 4 days of being dizzy, and so I got to be taking that gabapentin, but maybe I might have to stop taking it. I didn't take it last night, and so I don't know. I feel a little bit dizzy. I just see the yellow streaks when I look at the walls here. The walls here are all white, but when I look at it, I see like yellow streaks. I asked the eye specialist. I'm seeing an eye specialist right next to Brandon Hospital. They have a cataract eye institute there right next to Brandon Hospital. And I asked the doctor about the slip and fall, and she said, "Well, she said next time you should do it at the Walmart." She said they got a lot of money they could pay. You ever slip and fall, you go to the Walmart and you could. She's very funny. She's very funny. Of course, she's. I don't know what her title is. Most likely, she's an ophthalmologist. I guess those are the ones who actually operate on your eyes or whatever. So I know with my left eye, it's really really bad. I mean, my eyesight here is really really bad. Um, I mean, when I covered this side, my other eye, I could see something, but it's not really all that clear. You know, with this eye, everything is a lot clearer. Actually, I have some bottles of I have some Hall's tablets here. Oh, man, I'm talking a long time. But look at here, just to show you, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read some from this bag here. It's got like a whole mess of stuff over here. Let me see what I can read here. Okay, I'm gonna cover this eye up. I can see where it says Halls, and the middle one says Halls, and it says Relief under it. And then they have another one, Hall's Defense, which I guess it's I don't know what it is really. But look, that green one here. It says Hall's Defense. This one here says Hall's Relief, and says the other one here. It says Hall's Soothing. Now let me take something else, right? And I'll see if I can read it with just my left eye. With just my left eye. Look, I'm gonna close my right eye and I'm gonna look on my left side. Now I know this thing says turmeric curcumin, and it says very blurry. It says general wellness turmeric. I could see it says very blurry, 500 milligrams. And this is turmeric. See? Turmeric, curcumin. I guess you're gonna see it backwards. But this is really good for diabetics and stuff. Turmeric, curcumin. I always take some of that, and I take some cinnamon for the diabetes also. There goes my Centrum. I got bags and bags of stuff. A lot of vitamins. I gotta start taking more vitamins. I gotta take vitamin D because I don't go outside that much because I live on the second floor. It's very hard for me to walk down the stairs because I had a stroke in June of 22. So I had a stroke in June of 22, and it affected my whole left side. So that's my story. And now I don't drive my car because the motor busted. So what I do is I use Uber, like from here to see my doctors. I take Uber and Lyft to go to church on Sundays, and I think on Wednesdays they have like a Bible study over here at the what is it called, the Village Inn, Wednesdays. So I plan to go this Wednesday. I didn't go last Wednesday because last Wednesday I went to Reach City Church. They were having like a meeting there, and they had Jim Raley, who I think they call him Apostle Jim Raley. I'm gonna have to check out some of that, some of that footage. I was there. I had my walker because I knew I was gonna be needing it. Because I know I'm gonna be, over there. You're gonna be a long time, like in the front. I went there and I got prayed for, and so I had my walker with me. So every time I take a Lyft or Uber, I talk to the driver, and I know because I used to drive a cab in New York City. I used to drive in Puerto Rico. So, and I drove here, and over here these people are nuts driving. I mean, here you going 75 miles per hour, which is 5 miles over the speed limit, and they'll be like right on your back, man, tailgating. Or some of these people from that like to follow NASCAR, they said they're just drafting, but they're tailgating, man. At 75 miles per hour, man. You gotta stay in the middle lane because if you stay in the left lane, there's people going 90 and and cruising, going 90 or whatever. Like you know, and you could tell that they have their how do you say they have their radar detectors and stuff. But the police here, they get you anyway because they have a gun, so they can get you before you lower your speed. They get you because they have that gun and they press it and that's it. They got you at that. So let's say if you're traveling 100 miles per hour, they get that gun and they'll hit it right. Maybe you can go down like maybe 5 miles per hour or something like that before the radar detector will go off. So you're gonna take your foot off the pedal or whatever. You're gonna tap on the brakes to go slower. So maybe you might get like 5 or 10 miles before they get you, but they're still gonna get you. So over here, the crazy driving. I like to say all the crazy people I should have taken in New York when I drove a cab in New York, and I drove for Tel Aviv car service in New York, which they primarily take people out to. They take people from the city out to the airports, or they mostly do long runs, like maybe like one time I picked up Biggie, Biggie Smalls, whatever his name is. I picked him up and two other guys. All three of them got into my car. At that time, I had a brand new car. I had a 1994 Taurus. It looked just like the car that they used for. It was charcoal gray too. It looked just like the car that RoboCop used. So you look at RoboCop, you take away that, you take away the decal that he had on the side, and that's exactly the car that I use. So I get these three guys in my car, and they start smoking. They start smoking a joint. They started smoking marijuana in my car, and I told them, I said, look, I said, you guys can't be lighting up smoking, man. You can't be smoking pot in my car, man. I said, you can't smoke marijuana in my car. So this guy Biggie, he says, hey, I F you, I do whatever F I want to do in this car. And you just shut the F up because we're going to Marky Mark's house. We got a music video over there. And he starts, and then so I just stay quiet, And then he said, stop the effing car because I want to get some food. You just stay effing here because we're going to go in there and we're going to get some hot dogs. And it was like on Flatbush Avenue. So, and this was going to New Jersey, Marky Mark's house in what was it, Inglewood Heights, something like that. So we go over there, and they come back out of the hot dog stand. They went into the hot dog stand. They came out. While they were inside, I called up the dispatcher and I told him, I said, I keyed the mic and he called my number. He said, what's going on? I think at that time he said, what's going on? 92. That used to be one of my numbers that I used to, when you used to hit the button, your number would come up on their screen. So he said, what's going on, Victor? And I said, well, when I key the mic next time, give me a message that my parole officer is looking for me. He knows my car, he knows where I'm going, and he knows what route I'm gonna take. Okay, so he says, okay. So sure enough, Biggie and two other guys come in, and I know it was Biggie because he had that weird looking nose, you know. So this was 1990. Okay, so they were going out to Mark Wahlberg's house out in Inglewood Heights. So they come back and they start smoking again, you know. That's why I key in the microphone, and the dispatcher comes out there. He says, Victor, you didn't visit your parole officer today. He said, when you finish that call, you better go and see your parole officer because you didn't go and they're looking for you. They know your car. They know what color car you got. They know what route you're taking. They know where you're going. And then so Biggie, he says, oh man, I didn't know you was on parole, man. I'll take it off. So he went, he turned off the joint. He turned off the joint. He extinguished it, man. He put it, he took it out, man. And then Biggie says to me, he says, oh man, I didn't know you was on parole, man. I'm sorry, man. So he turned out the joint and I took him to Inglewood Heights. And when we get over there, they had two you know, really big looking guards at the front of the house and they stopped us. And then Biggie says, he says, I'm here for the music video. So we go inside, and I'm waiting there for the guy to sign the paper. It was a pretty good ride. It was like a $70 ride to go from Brooklyn to Inglewood Heights. So to do that music video, and there was like two big guards there. Like they look like football offensive tackle kind of guys. Like they they could probably take the car and lift it up, or something. Those guys were big, man, and they were like hanging outside. And then Biggie says, "No, we're here for the music video." So they let us go upstairs. Let us drive up to the front of the house. So I drive in front of the house, and who comes out? He comes out. this guy Mark Wahlberg comes out, and he said, "That's your car?" And I said, "Yeah, that's my new car. You know, I just got it. It was a 1994 Taurus." And then so he gets into his car. He had a sky blue Mercedes Sport Coupe, and I didn't even know who he was. But he was the guy who was coming out in all these ads for Calvin Klein, for the underwear on. He had a a really big thing on Times Square with him in in underwears, you know. And that was Mark Wahlberg. Uh, he came out. He put his key into a beautiful sky blue Mercedes Benz Sport Coupe, one of them small ones. It was beautiful, man. That car. So I got the message, you know, like I'm out of my league, you know. How did the women say it? The women say, "Stay in your lane." So I had to stay in my lane, man. You know, so I left there. Maybe I should just hung out there for the to see the thing. Maybe I could have came out in the music video. Maybe I would have been the guy. The guy would they could have had me like reading a Bible there or something. I don't know. I mean, I worked there at Tel Aviv Car Service. I had such crazy times there. I once picked up I once picked up this dentist. This dentist had an office on Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn, and I picked her up and I took her to Rikers Island. She paid me with a fake check. I called up, I called the dispatch and I said, I have a check here from such and such doctor, and they said, you have that doc. They said call the police because this doctor has given a lot of fake checks, and it just so happened that these people from Tel Aviv they own like five different different car services. They own Chelsea, they own Tel Aviv, they own Apollo, and so they had at least those three, and I think they had like two more. I don't know, but they had they had like a whole mess of car services, and it seems like this doctor was giving false checks to all these places. So, well, that's it. Turn on battery saver. Okay, my battery is going, so I'm gonna have to stop this because my battery saver is going out. But anyway, to make a long story short, I took this person to the city. I told them to get off the bus. I told her to get off the bus. I said, "You got to go back with me because you owe me money. You owe me. I think it was like $35 that she gave me a check for. So the $35 that I owed her, that she owed me, she gave me a fake check. So I took her to the city, and when I took her to the city, I took her right to the base, you know. And the dispatcher didn't even know that I was going there. He said, "Where you going?" The dispatcher was a guy named Gene, and I told Gene, I said, "I'm going to," and I gave him the address of the base. I said, "I'm going to." He didn't even know what the address was, and I told him, I'm going to this address. I'm gonna call up my friend. We're gonna see if we can get this money. I want cash, and then, you know, I'll take her back to wherever she wants to go." And the address was the address of the base. The dispatcher didn't even know it, Gene. He was like, "Oh, okay, you're going." And then so I finally went right there to the base, and then I told the I told the dispatcher I'm at the address now. So they came out and they surrounded my car. I think it was Barbara that she was like one of the old timers there, and so she came out. They called the police. The police came, and I had prayed with that doctor to accept Jesus right in my car before they took her away. And then I called up the doctor's mother, because she gave me the telephone, right? And she said, call up my mother and tell her what happened. You know. So I called up the mother and I told her, I said, look, I said, right now they took away your daughter, who's a doctor. They took her away. They arrested her for giving me a fake check, and she's given the fake check to a couple of other companies that were all owned by the same people. And because the owner there at Tel Aviv was Jonathan, and he was the owner, but they also had different car services. They had Chelsea, they had Apollo also, and had Tel Aviv. So I called up and I said, "Look, this is what happened. They took away your daughter, the doctor, and they locked her up." And the lady, she says, "Oh, you didn't have to lock her up. I would have given you the money." So how was it? They were enabling her drug addiction or whatever. Instead of saying, it was good that she got busted, maybe she get her life together. I prayed with that doctor to accept Jesus into her life, and I've done that many times. Being in my car, I would I would always I would not always, but a lot of times I would ask people if they wanted to accept Jesus in their life, and God has used me there. And even now that I take Lyft and Uber to church or to go to doctor's offices, as a matter of fact, in a little while, somebody's going to come to take me to the pain doctor, and it'll probably be a Lyft driver or the insurance drivers. So I take them some very short distance from here to the pain doctor because I live in Brandon. The doctor is in Brandon. Most of my doctors are around here, but now I'm taking therapy that at the 42nd Street. Uh, they have a physical therapy and occupational therapy there too. So I'm gonna be going over there um, to 42nd Street near the Advent Hospital, and very near to where my cousin Lillian is at. She's in a nursing home. She's a little bit older than me because she's a little bit older than me. That's all. I think she's born in the same year, 57, like me. But I think she was born a couple of months ahead of me. So and she's in a nursing home. She had a stroke, and where it hit her very hard. I went there like 5 times before she even said my name. I remember she said my name with her son was there visiting, and I saw him there, and I should go over there and visit her. I gotta go near there when I go to physical therapy. Maybe I'll do the physical therapy or the occupational therapy. I'm gonna have like four what do you say, four therapies with each one. And most likely what I'll do is I'll go and visit her too, because she's my cousin and we're very close. She's the only one left in her family, and I don't think many people visit her. I know how terrible that is when you're in the hospital and nobody visits you. When I had the double stroke, um, there was nobody really visited me. The only ones who visited me were my sons, sometimes my ex-wife. When I was in 2 months in the Veterans Hospital. They had a polytrauma building there, which is primarily for people like me who had strokes. I took the Pfizer. Uh, I took the Pfizer a shot for the COVID, and according to the CDC, right now they're investigating the amount of people who have had the Pfizer shot and the booster and got strokes. So I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can sue but there seems to be a lot of people who have ended up with strokes like me, and they also took the Pfizer shot. I mean, if you Google it, it's going to say that they're investigating it, but that's the CDC, you know. I don't trust no doctors anymore. I don't trust them anymore. Ever since Fauci, I don't trust doctors. I don't trust shots. I'm not taking any more shots. I ask when I go to the doctors. I say, what kind of shot do you give me? Oh, I'm giving you some insulin because your sugar's a little high. Okay, give me that. Sometimes they want to give me a thing in the stomach. Oh well, this is this thing in the stomach for blood thinner. No, I'm not taking nothing else. I'll take the insulin. That's it. But I'm not taking no more. If they want to give me a blood thinner, they can give me aspirin. That I'll take. But that's it. Okay. Well, it's been 1 hour and 10 minutes. So I've been talking for 70 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna end it here, man. This is my life now. You know, going to doctors, wearing a back brace, and it's a terrible life. But God is using me. So God is using me to talk to all these Uber and Lyft drivers, and I pray with them. A couple of them have accepted Jesus, but it's very hard to to keep in touch with these people because Uber and Lyft, they give you they give you a virtual telephone number, so I have to ask them for their telephone numbers. I'm also giving them cards because next week is Easter, so that's usually when people like to go and visit. You know, they like to visit church, and so I'm going to be going to the 9 o'clock service. The Pastor Trent, who's the main pastor of that particular location. He's the pastor of the Tampa location. Actually, it's not Tampa. It's Brandon. So um, he asked people ask. I'm sorry. That's just my New York accent. We always say ask. He Pastor Trent asked the people at the 11 o'clock service to start coming at the 9 o'clock service because a lot of the new people will be coming at the 11 o'clock service. So most likely I'll go to the 9 o'clock service and stay just for the music of the 11 o'clock service. So I get both musics, you know, and then I just go home with I call up an Uber car or whatever. So I go nice and early, go very early so I can go to Ironman. Ironman is like from 7:15 to 8:30. So I go to that, and then I go to church service at 9 o'clock, and I'll stay there till the 11 o'clock. Um, has the music from the 11 o'clock. Then I'll go home. Yeah, that's a and then I go home, have my Sunday nap. I eat, and then I have I'll eat something. I eat lunch, and then I go to sleep. All right, now I'm gonna check my blood pressure, and I'm gonna check my sugar. I don't think it's gonna be all that high, but who knows, right? I don't know how long I'm gonna be alive, but I'm gonna upload this to YouTube, and then I'll put it on my two main Facebook accounts. And what can I say? You know, I don't know how long I'm gonna live. I'll live until God decides to take me home. When God promotes me to be with my mother and my father. When I went to Puerto Rico in '83, my mother saw the change in me, so she started going to church with me. We both got baptized together in a really big church in Bayamon. We got baptized together, and Mom kept on going to church. And then they moved over here to Florida. And then Dad started going to church too. And Dad went to be with the Lord. He had Alzheimer's. And then Mom went to be with the Lord. And this was December 20th of 2021. So it's going to be 3 years that Mom has been with the Lord. It's going to be 3 years in December the 20th, because this is 2024. I've prayed for God to take me, but He's left me here. So I'm going to be memorizing a play that I have in my head about the life of Paul. So I'm going to be memorizing everything from Acts, the book of Acts, all the way through all his writings, and maybe a couple of commentaries on Paul. So maybe I'll read some commentaries. I have two Bible study books, Bible studies by Dr. Tony Evans and also David Jeremiah. I have their study Bibles, so I'll read everything that they have there, and maybe I'll get a commentary or two on the Bible. I always used to like to read like Matthew Henry, and they have other ones also, right? So maybe I'll do a play. Maybe I'll do a one-man play on the life of Paul. So I'll do like maybe an hour or an hour and a half, whatever God leads, and I'll just make it like I'm the Apostle Paul, and I'll walk where the crowd is, where the people are sitting, and I'll just talk about the life of Paul, and I'll go out there and see what God leads. I'll just be talking like I'll, I'll memorize everything, and I'll talk. I don't know, maybe about Romans, because Romans is very powerful. It talks a lot about sin. It talks about uh, no condemnation, right? And I think probably a main thing that we need. Maybe talk about Ephesians with the full armor of God in Ephesians 6. Maybe talk about Galatians, where it talks about the fruits of the Spirit. Maybe talk about Corinthians, where it talks about the nine gifts of the Spirit. Those are all very important. I think they're very important for the church. And I think it'll be a good message for the church. And it'll be good for my mind also to memorize all these things. It's gonna be a lot, right? Me memorizing everything from the book of Acts through all the writings of and even Hebrews, even though some people say that Paul didn't write Hebrews, but I think it's good to memorize that one too, because they also have that great verse in there about that we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, right? That's what it says, right? So here we go. It's going on an hour and 20 minutes. You know, I'm always praying that God would heal me of the effects of the double stroke that I had. I like to tell people that the first stroke that I had hit me in the part of my brain where it was already dead. It was already dead because all the drugs I did in the 70s and 80s. People laugh when I tell them that. I said all the drugs that I did in the 70s and 80s already burned a hole in my brain, and that's where the first one hit because I didn't even know it. The second one hit me, and I felt like real dizzy. I almost fell down coming to the room, and then I came to the room and I started watching a boxing match on Showtime. And I remember thinking, man, I better get myself checked out. So I took an Uber over there to the to from here. I took an Uber all the way out to the VA hospital. And by the time I got to the VA hospital, it started affecting me really bad. My arm and my leg started affecting me. And they told me, they said you needed to get here a lot quicker. We could have given you something for that. They said, but now we can't. Now there's nothing that we could do. By that very morning, I couldn't use my arm.